Hello, this is a music arts ranking video. Um, Today I'm going to list my 10 best drummers. I've just been watching a classic album review list, and so I've come up with my 10. I'm not ranking them against one another because they're all masters of their craft, and I don't think it's fair to put any of them at 1 or any of them at 10 for that matter. So, first of all, I've got Earl Palmer. I've just been listening to Earl Palmer on a Fats Domino album, and he swaps roles with Charles Williams, who is another great drummer, of course. Earl Palmer is one of those architects of rock and roll, yes, and more broadly than that, of one of the architects of popular music generally, of course. Um, and The next one is Ringo Starr, of course, the Beatles drummer. He played things that perfectly fit to the. He wasn't a show off. He always fit perfect to the songs and the music, and he, uh, he quite often came up with something very interesting in terms of drumming. In fact, I've heard drummers say that he was the perfect drummer, and I'm not going to argue with that. Certainly, he's the most perfect Beatles drummer. The next one is Keith Moon, simply because he's what I call the greatest spotlight drummer. He's a drummer that has a spotlight on him all the time. He's not that he's soloing all the time. He's responsive to the music and the other musicians, but he's putting a huge stamp on everything and having a great influence. And the next one is Steve Gadd. Let's look at my notes. Steve Gadd, another one like Ringo Starr. His musicianship is so great that he always plays something not only amazing in itself, but totally appropriate to the music. And yes, it's 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover is a good example of his playing. Another one, Barry Barlow, one of the Jethro Tull drummers, who are often conspicuous by their absence on these listings, and then very rarely on the telly either. But Barrymore Barlow is one of those from the world of progressive rock, of course, one of those technically gifted but very musical drummers. In fact, I read that he'd complained recently that he wishes it hadn't been so sophisticated, but I love his sophistication. I think he was great in Jethro Tull. And the next one is Carl Palmer, another one from the world of progressive rock, much more broad, very imaginative drummer, technically gifted, of course. It's worth getting the ELP records just for his drumming, as it is for any of the three members of the band. Another one, the most unique drummer I know of, Bill Bruford. His approach to playing the drums is totally unprecedented as far as I'm concerned. I know he's influenced by jazz, but there's never any attempt to exceed technically or anything like that. But the timing and quite often unusual timing of the drumming and an almost minimalist approach is totally alluring to me. Very enjoyable, of course. Another one, Charlie Watts, the late Charlie Watts. Best rock and roll drummer. Very like DJ Fontana, who I could have had on this list. One of the early Elvis Presley drummers. in fact, the Elvis Presley drummers for years. Charlie Watts in the Rolling Stones. Just listen to those stealth shuffles and rhythmic interpolations. A joy to listen to, and you almost don't notice them. And another one, Bill Ward. If Earl Palmer was the architect of rock and roll, Bill Ward was certainly the architect of heavy metal. If anyone invented heavy metal, if any drummer invented heavy metal, it was Bill Ward. And he's not over flamboyant, but his firmness and his rhythmic control are unsurpassed. So here we have it. That is the end of this video. So I'll give you the list again. Read it from my notes. Earl Palmer, Ringo Starr, Keith Moon, Steve Gadd, Barry Barlow, Carl Palmer, Bill Bruford, Charlie Watts, and Bill Ward. Bill Ward. Have I missed anyone off? No, don't think so. So there we have it. That's my top 10 drummers. Or drummers to listen out for. Drummers to enjoy. This is Sherwin Green saying good night because it's time for my bed. Find the off button. Bye bye.